Hi everyone. In this lecture, we are going to continue with the concept of function. We will be talking about a function and default argument. So just quick reminder, a function is a set of statements that perform a specific task. So for example, we can create a function, or what it does, it just add two numbers. So for example, this is an example of a function a. It takes two parameters, both of them are integer, and then it returns the total a plus b. Okay, and then we also talked about um, if that function, if we have it on top, that means above the main function, then the program is aware of it. There will be no problems. But if you don't have it on top, you have it below, then that's going to cause a problem, because when you try to call the function, let's say put c out, and then you put add, let's say, and then you call the function, let's say with this 10 and 20, then you may see that when I run the program, I'm going to have an error. Why? Because the function is below the main function. So so the program is asking, okay, what is that function add that you are talking about? So to avoid this problem, you need to have what we call prototype. That means basically signature or the header of the function on top. So how do we type the prototype? It's almost the same thing as just the header and semicolons. You put int, you put add, and you put only the data type, int, since we have two int, and then semicolon. So it's like you are making the program aware of the existence of a function somewhere at the bottom of the program, called add, and takes to integer. Okay. Now again, if you put the function on top, you don't have to do this prototype. But if you have it below, then it's required. So for example, let's create another function. For example, or what it does, let's say it returns, it takes like, let's call it reverse. It takes a string, correct name, and then let's say it returns the reverse of that name. So in this case, I need to create a new variable of type string, and we call it rev, and then this is going to start with an empty string, and then I'm going to use the loop going backward. Int I equals, let's say, name dot length -1, and then I higher or equal than 0. As you can see, I'm using the loop backward, and then I minus. And then I'm going to keep concatenating every single letter. So I'm going to put here rev plus equal name dot add I. So since we're starting from the end, from length -1, then for example, if the function, let's use an example here, let me start new line. So if I call the function reverse and I use, let's say, computer. So a reverse, that means I'm going to start from R. So I'm going to start with the empty string, and then I'm going to start concatenating. Put R first, then E, then put T next to it, then U, then P, and so on. So that's going to return the same name but backward. So if I run the program, now here, again, we're going to have the same problem that we talked about. I need to have the prototype on top. So I need to go right here. So it returns, okay, what does it return? Let me see. Oh, return int? No, it should return string as well. So I need to put here, let's say, return rev. Okay. So it takes a string and return another string, which is the same word backward. So here, the prototype should be string reverse and then it takes one string. So this is the prototype. Now, I want to talk about something else, which I did not mention before, is the possibility of using sometimes some default argument. So let's say, for example, I have this function that we already have called add, okay? And then let's say sometimes we have only one number. I can assign a default value for either both of them or any one of them. So for example, I can go right here and then put, for example, here, I'm going to put 10. Or let's say 5. What does it mean? That means if I call the function and I happen to have only one number and you don't have the second one, then use 5 instead. So for example, here, let's say I call the function, say out, and I put add, and for some reason I have only one number, let's say 9. So now the program is going to check, okay, what the add, the function add that we have, it takes two numbers. If the first number, the second number is not there, then you have to replace or use the default value, which is 5. So basically, it's like you have 9 and 5, okay? So now if I run the program, you're going to see that it's going to say 14. See that? 9. Even though that number 5 is not mentioned, but it is the default value. And also, we can use both of them. Let's say here, if the first number also is not there, then use, let's say, 10 as the default value. So here we have a lot of different ways to call the function. I can either use both of them. That means I'm going to come up with two numbers. In this case, I'm not going to use the default values like 10, 20, okay? Or let's use a different number since 10 is the default value. Let's say 20 or 30. So here, it's when you call this function, it's going to say 50. Why? Because both of them are there. Now here, when I use 9, then the second number is missing. So we're going to use the default value, that's 14. What about if none of them? So if I put, for example, C out, and I put add, and just parentheses. So that means both of them will be used. The default values 10 and 5, and the answer would be 15. So if I run the program, it will be 15. Okay? Sometimes this is a very easy way to use some default values in case you don't have the actual values or you don't have some missing values, right? I hope this one or this I hope like you find it useful. And if you still have questions or concern or need clarification about any aspect of the concept function, please don't hesitate to let me know. Thank you.